results are probable paternity 99.99999%.
Percent what?
Yes, he's your father.
Hey beautiful people, how you all doing today? It's your girl Destiny here and welcome back to my channel. How you are doing? Hope you guys are doing great. So today's video is about the YouTube documentary by Kirk Franklin called The Father's Day, and this documentary is all about Kirk Franklin finding his biological father and him confronting his whole trauma of being an adopted child and all that. This documentary has gotten a lot of people talking, which is what today's video is. So if you haven't seen this documentary, I'll leave it down in the description box so that you go check it out, so that you can join in the conversation that we're about to have here, okay? The documentary is not that long, it's about 30-something minutes, but I advise you to go check it out so you get the full context of what today's video is. So Kirk Franklin found his father and all that, and him trying to confront the mother, and the mother still denies that this man that has been DNA proved that he's Kirk Franklin's biological father, the mother still denies that that is not his father. And this has gotten a real amazing conversation online. So we're just going to hear other people's thoughts on this documentary. Then I'll come back and share my thoughts on this. But also grab something to eat because this video is a long one.
Have y'all seen this yet?
The results are probable paternity 99.99999%.
Percent what?
Yes, he's your father.
I don't even know where to begin with this Kirk Franklin documentary, but I stumbled across this thing last night and I was in shambles after watching it. I recently talked on here about how we need to unpack the urge to spiritualize our suffering and trauma, and why employing this idea that God or spirit intentionally puts us through trauma in order to prepare us for something later is inherently problematic. This narrative undercuts the actual roots of the trauma and doesn't allow space for us to really process it. As Kirk Franklin mentions in this documentary, he's been in therapy for years, nearly 2 decades if I'm not mistaken, and he has a clear idea of how his trauma impacted his life and his musical career.
I was talking with a person about this, and they said something about God. They said something about, God had to make him go through that so he could be who he was. And that shit rubbed me the wrong way. You see what I'm saying? It just rubbed me the wrong way.
Kirk Franklin is one of the most accomplished gospel artists in American history, but neglect and abandonment is in part what drove him to that small piano in that small town in Texas.
It's not true. I was only visible to people when I touched that little piano outside that door. It's only that people paid attention. But I'm not talking just my immediate family. I'm talking about the world. Nobody paid attention. Teachers, nobody. Until I touched the piano.
Not having a present mother and not knowing who his father was is one of the things that drove him to musical excellence. His desire to be liked and accepted and loved because of the absence of that love from those who he wanted it from the most.
You not knowing how to love made me not know how to love. I love through fear. I love through a performance. I always wanted people to like me because I was always wanting to be accepted by, understandably, the 2 people that I wanted to love me the most, my mom and my daddy.
Y'all following me? And as he shared in that clip from his upcoming album Father's Day, he would have traded all of those awards away if he could be somebody's son. God is not preparing you for anything. You're just suffering. Woo! That's heavy, ain't it? A big part of decolonization and deconstruction for me was letting go of this idea of connecting my suffering to some greater meaning or purpose. And glamorizing and idealizing your suffering might be religious trauma. And after years and years of lies and misinformation, he finally found his biological father. This is generational trauma that has impacted little Kirk so much that it spilled out into every single one of his relationships, including his relationship with his own son, who we all saw the public fallout of. But that father wound being healed is in part what led to the beginning of reconciliation.
99.9%. He's your father.
Wow. There's nothing I ask God for every single day I wake up. I have everything that I want except you and my grandfather.
I want you to know that I'm sorry.
I forgive you, Daddy. I have to forgive you because you've forgiven me.
Just wow. I'm gonna talk about Miss Deborah in another video, because the behavior that she exhibited is a case study in why wedges get driven in black families and in families in general. But for now, like and follow for more content.
Watching Kirk Franklin's Father's Day yesterday gave the little Jasmine a chance to finally be understood, seen, and heard. Let me play you the clip that really did it.
You can't give me this No hug, no word of encouragement, no sugar, no joke, nothing can substitute what I deserve and what I've needed.
My birth mother had me when she was 20 years old. And my Aunt Sandra, it's weird because Kirk had an Aunt Sandra. My Aunt Sandra was the one who looked after me, but she worked the night shifts and she could no longer really take care of a newborn. And her thing was that my mom would always leave me. So she called my grandparents and told them that, listen, I can't take care of a newborn, and her mother is always leaving her. Something needs to happen. So my grandparents came and picked me up. They were in Shreveport, Louisiana, and I was in Houston. They came and got me. I was 3 weeks old, and they took me back to Louisiana, and they basically raised me as if I was their own child. A year later, they adopted me. And I do remember coming up as a little girl, you know, my birth mom would fly in. At the time, she lived in California, and she would come and see me, and she even moved back to Louisiana, and I remember going to see her and stay the night. But like Kirk Franklin said, you know, it's one thing when you're adopted and you have no connection to your biological parents versus when you are adopted and you actually see these people, and in my case, this person. I always remember feeling like, why am I not good enough to go back with you? Like, why didn't you choose me? And as a 32-year-old woman, I never really got clarity on that. And still to this day, I don't. Back in May, my girlfriend and I, we went to Houston and we stayed there for 2 weeks, and we actually stayed with my birth mom. And she kept encouraging me, you know, bring up this conversation. I know it's hard, but just, you need answers. Because guys, the truth is, I've honestly been living my life on the surface. My therapist back in 2020 told me that the reason why I have been so driven and have strived for so much success is to prove a point of worthiness. And it's almost like that's all I've ever been. It's just a high achiever. Back in May, I did ask, what happened? That's all I wanted to know, was just what happened. And her response to me was that I was taken from her. And I tried my best to understand that. But the grander part of me, I can't accept it. Because even when I turned 18, I had no mother. When I turned 20, I had no mother. When I was 21, I had no mother. There's been times that I was also homeless. I was hungry. I had nowhere to be. I struggled and suffered. I didn't have a mother. And her response to me was basically, I've been here this whole time. I've been waiting for you to see it. Here recently, we had an exchange about my little brother and what he has going on in his life. And she has this care, and I found myself being bitter, and I was responding like, you know, well, nobody was there for me when I had to figure it out. I just had to figure it out. And she told me, well, you know, you're a better person for it. And it just didn't sit well with me. I sent her this message basically apologizing for my energy because, for one, that isn't of my character. So I apologized to her, and I told her why I felt that way. I didn't really get a response. I never got, I'm sorry that I wasn't there for you. I'm sorry that it happened this way. She just wants to move forward. And something else that Kirk showed me in his documentary and telling his story was that it's okay to enforce boundaries with people. She may not be able to give me the apology that I needed or the little Jasmine needs. It's my responsibility today. My responsibility now going into the 33rd year of my life to protect my heart at all costs. And if I can't get the acknowledgement of what my experience was, or even an apology for what happened, then we cannot move forward together. It really breaks my heart because she's funny. She's so freaking funny. Lady is like a true comedian. But I didn't realize in me, I now live around the world, me flying back and forth to Houston, you know, going to spend time, it still creates that feeling of rejection that I felt when I was just a little girl. I just can't accept that. This has really given me a chance to go deeper in myself and in my life because I've always been so I don't want a family. I'm on my own. I'm a loner. You know, I don't really trust people. I don't really trust love. So challenging because I have someone in my life that I could literally create the life of my wildest dreams with. And this has been the biggest hole in pain that has been really preventing me. I've allowed it to prevent me from moving forward. But I feel so much better now. And I know that I have a long way to go. But I welcome this feeling of sadness and grief. But I also welcome me being a healed version and experiencing life in that way. This video isn't really for anybody. You know, if you do get something out of it, I'm so grateful, but this is for my expression so that I can continue to move forward and live life in a deeper and more meaningful way. And I'm just so grateful that I get to do that here. Thank you for listening.
Hey, I watched that documentary and I thought it was really good, but the only thing I'm going to say is I'm not buying that Kirk Franklin's father had no idea that he was his father. Because what a lot of people seem to miss in that documentary is that it was Kirk Franklin's aunt's funeral that he attended, and then he just walks up to a random person and says, hey, I used to date Kirk Franklin's mother. Now, he knows that he slept with the mom back in 1970, and then she turns around with the baby, and they're all living in the same neighborhood, in the same area. And we've seen Kirk Franklin prior to 2017, those of us that are followers of Kirk Franklin, and certainly the people that live in the Dallas area that know him, they knew that he had been looking for his father. I think that that man knew or suspected that he was Kirk Franklin's dad. He couldn't look at Kirk Franklin and tell, I dated his mama. He knew that it was Kirk Franklin's mother, remember? I dated his mother, and I'm looking at this guy, and this guy, he's looking just like me. He's little just like my family. He's looking like my family. But he never thought until 53 years later, why was he? So he had connections with the family to end up at the funeral. So I'm just not buying that he didn't know. And I'm also with the mother. Okay, is she lying? Because a lot of people that don't want to admit who a child's father is that because there was violence involved in it or trauma surrounding it. So she may not be remembering because he could have been conceived under a blanket of sin and violence. So no, I'm not buying the fact that I think his mother's got more to the story to tell, maybe, and she may just not remember, or she may not want to remember it. But there is no way that a man living right around the corner that knew that he slept with a woman in 1970, and then she turned up with the baby a few months later, and he never thought about it until Kirk Franklin is 53. How come when he was 40, 50, he never thought, this little dude looking like me? Because everybody certainly in that area knows Kirk Franklin. So I'm not buying that whole story that the man is telling. I'm thinking that he's looking to be a hospice care. He's looking for a hospice care son. I think he's looking for a come up, whether it be prestige, whether it be money, whether it be a man that would abandon his son and not even try to find out who he is, knowing that you dated a man's mom and she got a son that looked just like you. Another thing, that trait of being so small. Did he cultivate the relationships in his family? Is he now looking to make amends? Because now he just shows up at a funeral 53 years later, just means, I used to date his mama. Come on now.
Thank you so much, brother, for commenting. This is a story about Kirk Franklin and a documentary that came out that shows that he now at 53 knows who his father is. He took a DNA test. If you hit the comment, it'll take you to the story. Okay, so what I'm going to say to you, brother, I'm going to give you a little bit of pushback on this, is because, you know, Kirk Franklin is around my age. And in the 80s, when we were 14 and 15, we knew how babies were made. I would remember if I was 14 or 15, because right now I'm dating the guy that who was my boyfriend when I was 14. I remember him. I'm sure that he remembers that he had sex with a girl that lives around the way, since he lives just a few minutes away from Kirk Franklin. And if that girl became Kirk Franklin's father, he's going to remember, hey, you know, I was with her, or she's my girlfriend, or I fooled around with her. And it never occurred to him. And this man, I mean, look at him. Kirk Franklin is about 4 feet tall. He must be 2.5 feet tall. So you got a little dude looking like your family, the size of your family, looking like all of your sons and looking like your cousins. But you never think when you see Kirk Franklin, you never notice Kirk Franklin. Mm-hmm. You just never know. He lives right around the corner. Now, I can tell you, I visited Dallas, the Dallas area, and saw Kirk Franklin in a store. And I was like, oh, that's Kirk Franklin. I didn't go say anything to him. But certainly, if I had slept with his daddy,
I probably would like pay some attention to, hey, I know his dad real well. So no, I'm not buying that. I think that the man had some idea. I think he knew. But I think he probably just didn't want to claim like way too many men in our community that have children and don't want to claim them because they don't want to have to put in they don't want to invest emotionally. Yep. They don't want to make the emotional investment into their seed, their own offspring. So no, I'm not buying that. At 14 and 15, even in the 80s, we knew if you get with somebody and have sex with them, you could make a baby. And I know there were some girls when I was in middle school and early high school that had babies. So we knew how babies were made. He knew how babies were made. He knew that that girl had a baby 9 months after him because they lived in the same neighborhood. And even if not, when he got 35 and he saw a little man walking around there looking just like his cousins and looking just like him, he should have found a clue. And when he saw on television Kirk Franklin talking about his mom and showing his mom, because we've all seen her, he didn't think, hey, that's a girl that I slept with when I was 15. And now her son is now, so many years later, after we slept together, looking for his father. I might be his father. Hey, Kirk, I know you're looking for your dad. Maybe I'm him. No, he didn't want to stand up and be a man.
Do not walk. Run over to YouTube and watch Kirk Franklin's new documentary. His doc is called Father's Day, and it's only 35 minutes. But when I tell you it is incredible, it is freaking incredible. Without spilling too much, everyone knows, if you follow Kirk Franklin, he always talks about being adopted. He was born to a teen mother. He was adopted by like a family friend or distant relative that was really old and strict. But in this documentary, he finally meets his father. He didn't even know who his father was. And before you judge, just watch it. Please watch this. I definitely don't want to give too much away. I think you guys just need to go watch it, and please report back to this page. Let me know your thoughts so we can talk about it together, please.
What Kirk Franklin did in this 35-minute video, to me, is more powerful than any song he has ever written. It just brings things alive, and it preaches and reaches in a different way. Hats off to Kirk and the entire team, and allowing us to get in that business. This was something that ultimately only God could orchestrate. And he went to the root of the issue. Man, you see how amazing God is? Here we are trying to fix this up here that got a whole lot of noise on it. But the issue was deep down in the relationship between cussing Curtis Franklin and his pappy. Deborah had a baby at 15, 53 years ago, when Dr. Jill was reading the results. He said, my mama lied to me again. She had to be in the business of not telling the truth about her pain. So she got used to that. Aunt Sandra said to Deborah, Kirk just wants the truth, Deborah. Kirk also said, many men came forward through the years claiming to be my father. So that's another pain, another truth that Deborah is hiding, allegedly. Deborah has a story, and we don't know at all what that story is. However, we know that whatever her story is, it shifted her mental state, and she is not well. As a result of her not being well, she has injured and lied to Kirk many times, according to him. And according to what we saw in the documentary, there was like a 23-year hiatus. He didn't fool up with that. I want you to trade places with Kirk, fatherless and motherless. Fatherlessness creates a father fracture. It's in your soul. Yeah. And mama trauma and mama drama, it creates a tear in your heart. It messes with how you love. Without all of this, there would be no Kirk Franklin. If Cousin Curtis Kirk Franklin did not have this father fracture and mama trauma drama, we would not have the gift called Kirk Franklin. It's just how it works. Am I saying that God puts you through stuff? Hell to the no, and I never would believe that.
Okay.
But am I saying that God gets in whatever fracture, trauma, and drama you got going on and get the cooking stuff up? And before you know it, that thing done turn around and give you a superpower
Yep.
and giving you a gift, an ability, an anointing even. Absolutely, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, guys, I am trying so hard to keep this page about business and skincare, but did y'all see this Kirk Franklin documentary? Because could you imagine the level of trauma knowing that you're adopted and going to bed after hearing all these jokes about Plies being your brother and not knowing if he's actually your brother or not? Now, after experiencing the mother and all her foolishness, Plies actually might be the brother. I mean, we don't know nothing at the level of lies that she's telling, okay? And now everybody needs a DNA test because we just need a part 2. What is going on? We have got to do better. What? Plies might be the brother. After all of this, we need a part 2. I've had enough. Give me part 2.
Kirk Franklin is about to become a hospice care son, and once again we see how black women are always to blame for everything that ails society, black men in particular. So now we're seeing this documentary about Kirk Franklin, and he's talking about how this man 53 years later has shown up, swabbed his own mouth, and gave me the swabs and said, go do with it what you want. Because 53 years later, he remembers that in 1970 something, he slept with Kirk Franklin's mother and produced a child. She had a child by herself that looks just like him and his family. That's short, just like him and his family. In the same neighborhood, and he's seen Kirk Franklin for years, like we all have, wondering who his father is. He's seen the girl that he slept with in 1970. Her name ain't changed. And now all of a sudden, 53 years later in 2023, he decides that, oh, that rumor that they've been talking about since 1970, since 9 months after that man was here, oh, I'm going to get my mouth swabbed and see whether or not he's my son. He has an ulterior motive, Kirk Franklin. So everybody. He has one foot on the grave and the other on a banana peel at his age. He's looking at his own mortality. And he's thinking, okay, I need to make amends. I need somebody to take care of me, hospice care son. All that stuff Kirk Franklin got, and he found out that I'm his dad. Because a man like that, a man who has seen a young boy walk around looking just like him and his family, knowing that he slept with the woman around the time that the boy was born, and the boy looks just like him and his family, because he looks just like the man. And he didn't do anything about it. Do you really think that he's cultivated any real relationships with his claimed family, with the children that he claims? Does he have a wife? Where was she at? And where were all the other children at? So no, I'm not buying it, y'all. I don't care what anybody says. Well, you need to look at the documentary because his daddy stepped up. 53 years later, he stepped up. So what you're saying is, well, they were 15 and he didn't know it was his child. You know, people know when they're 15 years old that if they have unprotected sex, that a baby can be produced. And the guy knows that if a girl that you've been seeing at school and walking around the neighborhood, if she shows up with a baby 9 months after you had sex, you ought to peek in the blanket to see whether or not the baby looks just like you. And nobody else in the Dallas area, the Metroplex area, was saying, God, that man, you know, him and he lived in the neighborhood where came Kirk Franklin's mama, or they was dating. No, none of her girlfriends knew that she was fooling around with him or had fooled around with him. Now, let me give you guys another side of this while all y'all want to blame his mother. We need to find out how he was conceived. Because a lot of times, people that don't want to claim who the daddy of a child is, they were conceived in violence. So have y'all ever thought about that? While y'all want to run and put a blue ribbon on his heart, for stick it on his chest for stepping up now that he doesn't have to commit or have to invest anything in Kirk Franklin. Did you see how Kirk Franklin ended up embracing him and coddling him? Oh, you didn't know. You didn't know. As soon as he finally took his head out of the sand, decided to own up to Kirk Franklin and all of his empire so he could go be the king of it. Well, he could go be the king of Kirk Franklin's empire. And to get all this praise, he didn't even think to get his ass up off the couch to go over and embrace him and say that I'm sorry. Because the rumor just started in 2023 about him being Kirk Franklin's father. He is realizing that he's not going to live forever. The fact that he knows that that's an extra person that will be able to provide for him as he gets ready to rest in his femininity and pass on to wherever men go who leave their own son.
Their seed, their DNA, their blood, just out here in this world to fend for himself. I guess he knows he's getting ready to go wherever that is, and he might be trying to keep from going there. Kirk Franklin, please don't do it. Please don't become a hospice care son. Don't let that man run no game on you. You look just like him. He knew you were his son. He's lying to you. Don't be a hospice care son, Kirk.
Okay, so I want y'all to see this just like this. Yes, these are real tears. A couple of days ago, I recorded a TikTok and it went viral. And I was basically talking to, you all know who she is, and how that one day she is going to find out about the real things that these men in her life have done. And where a lot of people thought it was a man-hating video, in reality, it was really just about family secrets and how devastating they can be. And so I'm going to ask any men that come across this, go on YouTube and watch Father's Day, a Kirk Franklin story. And I'm thinking, if you see it where you're replacing the woman with a man and the men in her life with the woman in a man's life, with the women in a man's life, you will understand exactly what I was saying. It's about 35 minutes long. And it is powerful. Wow. Everybody, just go watch it. Just go watch it. Father's Day, a Kirk Franklin story. I promise you, you will not forget it. But bring tissue. Cause, ooh, Jesus.
Okay, I didn't want to do this because I have not been a fan of Kirk since he was with the family wearing big shoulder pads and bold red suits. I don't like the new plastic surgery Kirk music, but I heard it was good, so I peeped it. The new Kirk Franklin documentary is out. Yes, I thought it was a publicity stunt for us to see about this new album, but when I saw Auntie Sandra come up on that scene on the screen, I knew this was the real deal. I knew it was all true. Now, if Delusion was a person, that's Kirk's mama. I'm yet praying for her because she yet holding on to what she believed. It's good. The new Kirk Franklin documentary is on YouTube. It's gonna put you in a chokehold. You're gonna go through your emotions of like, huh? And then you're gonna cry. And then you're gonna be like, oh. And then you're gonna be like, girl. All in that one little setting. So go ahead and check it out on YouTube. We heard a little bit snippets of some of the songs. I'm still Kirk Franklin and the family. The reason why I sing. Back in the day, Kirk. This new stuff, y'all can have it. Bye, y'all.
So I just, I'm not even quite done with it yet. Watching Kirk Franklin's Father's Day video. Stay with me here for a minute, because I don't know how this is all going to come out, but I just want to thank this man and how God's timing is so divine in the filming of this documentary of his journey. Everybody need to watch it. Everybody need to watch it. Black men, black mothers, black fathers, sons, black sons. And then from there, just everybody in the world. Every ethnicity. Thank you, Kirk Franklin. Thank you for healing the world. For healing my brothers and sisters. I have maybe, 5 minutes left. 7 minutes left, I don't even know. I couldn't. I'm gonna finish everything, This is the most important documentary at this time. And there are incredible documentaries out there. But for our culture and for the world, it's necessary. Watch it. My God. My God. God bless you. Hurt people hurt people. Yep. When we haven't learned, because we don't even know. Coming up in our communities, how to apply love to the places within us that feel wounded, that are hurt. We so used to living in the hurt and the suffrage and the difficulty and the inner battle and the outer battle. Oh, so much going through me right now. And then the loss of my friend this week. I don't even know what time it is. What is it? That's how much I moved. Where is my, I don't even know what time it is, y'all. I just know it's early in the morning. Oh, here we go. I'm in my pajamas, just 6:58. I've been up since like probably 3:34.
It's okay.
Watch the film and heal your life. And let the rawness of the pain come up through you. And feel that shit. And get some help. Thank you, Kirk Franklin. God bless you on this journey for helping us all heal. What a life you've had. And the resurrection of your soul. Thank you. Thank you.
Please go down in the comment section and let me know what you think about this video down in the comment section and the entire story. If you've not seen this documentary is here on YouTube. I'll leave it down in the description box so you can just go click on it so you can watch it and get full context of it, of what everybody's talking about here. But I personally have a lot to say, so feel free, go watch it, come back and share your opinion, but please keep it respectful. Here on this channel we're allowed to disagree, but we do it in a respectful way. We don't disrespect each other to air our opinion. So yeah, let's take it with a deep breath. So for me personally, okay, first off, I want to say, like, this documentary is a powerful documentary, and if you need to see it, you need to see it before you can join in this conversation, period. It's a very powerful documentary, but there's so much going on in that documentary. First of all, I want to say, like, why is Claire Franklin's mom, Deborah, actually denying this man as the father of Claire Franklin? Because that's a bigger conversation everybody's having, like, oh, the mom, why is the mom lying? The mom is a perpetual liar. Kiniko. Yes, Claire Franklin has stated it that the mom has lied to him over and over again. But the reason why the man is sitting down there, test result is out, and Claire Franklin's mom is still insisting that this man is not Claire Franklin's father. Why? And with the report saying that she had Claire Franklin when she was 15, like 15 years old child. So, like, people are saying, I'm not trying to give the mother some slack here, because I don't know why. We don't know her story. That's what I would say. We don't know her story, but she should also try to own up and tell her own side of the story. Because there's no way that she didn't have an idea, like, okay, so probably these are the men I slept with around this time that I'm pregnant. Probably this should be Claire Franklin's father. And even when Claire Franklin came out and was looking for his father, she didn't really give him those options. Rather, like on the documentary, Claire Franklin talked about how he connected with one man and accepted that man as, and thinking that man was his father, and the man has passed on. So for me, I like the mom doing that for me was not nice, because I just feel like Claire Franklin deserved that closure, especially from her. She just pointing out saying, that is your father. I feel like he needs that to heal his inner child. But why is the mom taking it away from him? That, like, I don't know. And this is where I would say therapy also has to come through, because Franklin also talk about how hurt people, how the mom didn't know how to love, how him too didn't know how to love. And this is one of the reasons I would say and this is why we have this type of conversation here on the channel. Before you choose to have kids, be very intentional about it, because we will just be running in the same cycle, bringing hurt human beings into this world that is ready to hurt other people and all that. So you just keep going on in balls and balls and balls. And that is why a lot of us still needs to heal from our childhood trauma. Whether you're in Gen X and millennial, there's a whole lot of trauma that we've gone through that we've not healed, that we've passed on back to back to our generation, to our children, and this. And one part of this documentary that just really melted my heart was the part that Claire Franklin and his son was trying to amend things. They had a fallout sometime a couple of years ago, and they're trying to reconcile things and work things out. Claire Franklin identifying that this stems from his father issues, him not having father, him being rejected by his parents, the two people that are supposed to love him the most. Just makes sense how hurt people will hurt people. Like, if you don't do the work of you healing yourself and healing your trauma, you're just going to bring children that you're just going to inflict harm and hurt to. And that's what happened to Kirk Franklin, because he wasn't show love. He didn't even know how to navigate his life as a father with his son. But I'm really happy that now he's really, like, he's making the effort, the conscious effort to deal with this, and him finding his father. So coming back to finding his father, I like some of the videos pointed at, like, in my own head, watching the documentary, that was what I was thinking. Like, there is no way this man did not have an idea to say, Claire Franklin might be my son. Probably I should do this. Claire Franklin is 53 years old, and he waited for 53 years for him to show up. Even the year Claire Franklin was out on social media, like, looking for his dad, why didn't he come out then? What is his own purpose? What is his own story for him not coming out and him saying that he didn't know that? You slept with a girl and a girl got pregnant, so why won't you even think that you could be the father of the child? Why do you have to wait for 53 years for you to want to die down that rumor? So for me, I give him the side eye, but I'm happy that Claire Franklin was able to find that closure that he needs, knowing his father, meeting his father. I'm happy he was, but I'm still giving the father the side eye. So I'm not just going to put the blame on just the mother, because the mother is going through her own, but I feel like she should calm down and just give Claire Franklin that closure and go for therapy and process her feeling, because I feel like the mother has a lot of bottle up feelings that she has not expressed. Like our sister said, Auntie Sandra, like, you know what, he just wants to know the truth, and Auntie Sandra knows the truth. And this is why in the black community, or even in a black household, there's a whole lot of secrets that a lot of people will not come out to talk about. And for me, it's just so disheartening. Like, this has put Claire Franklin in pain for years upon years, just because they have to keep the secret, because there's no way somebody does not know about this. So it's just really funny. Anyway, guys, please go down in the comment section and share your thoughts. I'd love to know what you think about this conversation down in the comment section. So feel free to share your opinion, but please keep it respectful. Here on this channel, we're allowed to disagree, but we do it in a respectful way. Please go ahead and share this video with somebody that you want to be part of the conversation, because that's what we do here. We have banging conversation. So go ahead and share this video. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, smash the like button, because this helps YouTube to push out my content, and that will be you supporting your girl. With that all said, guys, please subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Deuces.